This is the story of how one man went from ordinary to extraordinary. Well, it's not really a story, it's just kind of how I did it, but y'all get the drift. Dunununununun BatDesssskkkk. Okay, so I started off the build with this random Walmart desk that I've had for years, and it was basically my destruction desk. I took apart laptops and old computers and all that stuff, and this was just basically what I used in the interim. Now, as I progressed and started making YouTube videos and such, I decided I needed a bigger desk. Now, I was just gonna go out and do a little random stuff and just make, a normal corner desk, but somewhere along the lines I decided that I wanted a desk that was mine, one that was only for me, one that was nowhere else. It was one of a kind, you couldn't get anywhere else. So I decided to make a custom desk, completely custom and completely to the theme of my choosing. And this is how this all played out. So took apart the desk, took it down to pieces. Now you broke down the pieces, they're all singular. I decided I didn't need to break it down any further because I was going to use the base. So sanded down the sides so that the paint would adhere correctly. Get a nice little coat on it. Sand down all the metal surfaces. The wood surfaces, not so much the veneer. I wasn't too much worried about it. I taped off all the areas that I thought would be a basic guideline for the picture I had in my head. And let me not pretend that I was, I like perfectly planned this out, because under normal circumstances, if I'm building something, I have a schematic and I draw out everything like to perfect dimensions. But not gonna lie, I winged half of this. It was just as I started to build, my initial idea was just to build a big black canvas, put the Batman symbol on it, and keep it moving. But as I slowly started to think about it, I wanted it to be more so his entire body, and I wanted it to be as if his cape was flowing around his body and the bat symbol prominently in the middle, but his face ever vigilant, looking at everything that was happening on my desk, more or less. Like in my head, the artist in me started to come out, and so slowly but surely I started to get more and more ideas. So after I sanded it down, I put on the light base coat of the silver, and then I started to coat the blue. I started to envision, I guess, his cape wrapped around the back side of his body and the places where it would fall naturally if it was draped over him. And so the back portions of it was just a slow burn, and I started to see other portions of the base platforms where his cape may be draped over that too, as if you were looking down at him. Now I transitioned into making the actual desktop once I got all that finished, and this is just me taking a normal standard piece of MDF and cutting it into the shape I needed. So I started off with the straight cuts, my ghetto platform rigging to make sure that I get straight cuts. It was just basically me clamping wood in a level line, and I would cut to the point where the turn would need to be from both sides, so from the left and the right, and then I would use a jigsaw to cut around the bolt, the curve itself. Now the reason it's a little off is two reasons. One, I didn't eyeball it correctly. That was the first reason. But the second reason also, as I was doing this, I started to see a little bit more of a curve I wanted to make. And then once I cut all that out, cut all the corners, I moved on to the overhanging desktop, which is going to be his cowl. So got the base platform done. I measured out each individual centerpiece so that I would have not only the center where he would go, where his head would be, based off of the size that I needed, and then I measured out the size of the platform itself. So from each corner to the end, marked it out, measured twice, cut once, then cut the piece up. It was just simple, me going along my measurement lines, cutting that piece. So I cut it to length, set up everything, get a nice flat cut, and real simple, like, you know, tools are a wonderful thing. Just cut this up real quick. And then I moved on, rounded out the corners so that it would be as if his shoulders were hunched, and sanded them down so that they were nice and smooth. All the edges I sanded down so that it was nice and smooth on the inside curve, on the outside curve, just so we had nice smooth transitions all around. I moved on to the paint. I decided that I was gonna take everything, make sure that I used the same base paint. And the reason I went with spray paint, even though you see there's a can right there of silver paint that I bought, I decided more so that I wanted it to be a weathered look. I decided I wanted to, it looked like he was in a fight, so it was a little gritty, so you can see through the pieces a little bit. And I added dark accents some places, fold over points, stuff like that, so it just looked like a more battle weathered thing. I went light coats, and then I went distress coats in various places just to round it out. After I cut out his head, and that was more so just me drawing it out on a piece of plywood and then cutting out the shape with the jigsaw, and I just coated it up. I put 2 coats each on the base platform as well as the desk itself, and it was just in various places. Like, some parts were darker, some parts were a little lighter, and that was by design because I wanted it to look organic. I didn't want it to be just one staunch platform that looked just like, a uniform color all over, because if Batman is getting into fights with all these villains, it's gonna be a little rough in some places. I took a basic shape, I cut it by design. That's just me taking some scissors, cutting some cardboard in the shape of a cape flowing, and then I would later add darker accent marks that kind of crescent the point so it looks like the cape is folded at those points. And I would leave some areas darker, some areas lighter, just like I did on the cowl, just to ensure that it all looked like a proper flowing piece from start to finish. And I think I did a good job, but again, this is my desk. Now, around this time, it was crazy because I started to paint everything, and there's drying times in between. So I left my garage open because that's the fastest way to get everything dry. And sometime in the middle of this, the mailman decided to walk up, and when I came back outside, he was just standing there staring at my desk. Now, this is after I had put it all together and was fitting all the pieces together, and the man was just standing there staring. It was the eeriest thing. And then he looked up at me as if I wasn't there and then just looked back at the desk. But that to me was proof that it was one of a kind. That was my solidification that I was doing exactly what I envisioned in my head. And this part was just another piece that I decided the cape would wrap around this side. On the elongated piece of my desk, it's just a little farther, as if the cape drew down the whole distance. And then on the side with the stand, it wraps around each individual piece, so even the lower layers also have a draped down piece that I distressed a little bit. I love my desk, love everything about my desk. It's also my computer. I could put a build for that if y'all want to. Just leave comment down in the comment section if y'all want to see that. But this is everything. I added a pull-out jar for my keyboard and my monitor setup. On the right is my gaming monitor, and in the middle is my productivity. I also built this little headset stand because I have multiple headsets, and I wanted it to be maintained with the theme of what I'm doing. So this is the Bat Desk. This is my version of Batman looking over the city and giving, light and protection to all he surveys. I appreciate you all, and I'm out.